Just look at that. The fender gap on the front and on the rear is pretty much gone. It's pretty much how I would want it to sit, of course. What is up, guys? Welcome to Red 50, and in today's video we are going to be finally installing the lowering springs. I went ahead with the Steeda lowering springs. I'm really excited to be finally lowering my Mustang. It's something I've always wanted to do. Even when back when I had the S197 Mustang GT, I really wanted to lower it, but I just knew I wasn't going to keep it for too long, so I didn't want to spend all that money and deal with a rough ride quality. If you guys have been following, you guys do know I went ahead with the Steeda springs, the blue ones right here, the Progressive. So they should be lowering the car about an inch in the back. So right now, I mean, there's considerably a lot of wheel gap. As you can see, I can probably fit like my three and a half fingers. So it's going to drop about an inch here. And for front, it should do 1.1 inch. So here you can see I can put about 4 fingers right now, or even a little bit more than 4. I will actually get this on a flat surface and get you an accurate measurement, because I'm kind of curious too in terms of the actual measurements, how much is actually lowering. Because right now, as you can see, it's a little bit at a decline. I want to go ahead and, before I install these springs, I want to get it on the flat surface and measure it to see how much the Steeda springs are gonna actually lower. I will leave the link in the description for the springs I went in with if you are considering the lowering springs for your car. Of course, once I get them installed, I'll give my first impression, the review and all of that. I wanna see how much difference they really make. Believe it or not, for my Mustang, I actually wanted to go with the iBox first. I was pretty much set on it until I decided to do more and more research. And it turns out if you go with the iBox Sportline, which actually lower about 1.5 in the back, and for the front it's like around 1.2, I believe. But that seems to be a little too much, and a lot of people complain with, you know, suspension squeaking, having a very rough ride quality. As you guys do know, this is my daily driver, so I did not want to deal with all of that. I still take a lot of road trips in this. I wanted to be comfortable, get a little bit better stance by lowering a little bit, but I didn't want it to be something that's like really rough and I would just kind of hate driving it around town. Well, I think let's just get these springs loaded into the trunk and we'll head to the shop to get this spring installed. All right, the springs are finally loaded into the car. It's right here. We'll go ahead and shut the trunk. And let's go. All right, let's get her started. I don't know why the exhaust keeps doing that. I have it on quiet mode, but for just a split second on cold starts, the valves kind of open up and it basically makes it loud cold start, then they close back up at quiet start. That's something I'm gonna have to look into. I'm out of warranty right now, so I can't really go into the dealership. I was thinking maybe resetting the battery, basically taking out the terminal, waiting for 30 minutes or so, and just having a system reset. Hopefully that will help, but that's a problem for another day. Right now, we're gonna be heading to get these Steeda Sport lowering springs installed on our 2019 Mustang GT. Now, as I said, before we head to the shop, I'm gonna find a flat surface. I got a measuring tape with me as well, so we're gonna measure before and after and see if we actually get the claimed drop or not. All right, so we're able to find a relatively flat surface, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the same measurement to see how accurate it was. This is the rear, obviously, and we can see, I don't know, three and a half fingers worth of gap basically between rear. I could probably squeeze 4, but it's a little tight, so I would say probably 3.5. Moving on to the front, I see definitely 3, maybe 3 3.25, maybe, not much more than that. 4 would be too tight, so that's pretty much where we are. Otherwise, I mean, it looks really good. So I'm kind of curious to see what the difference would be once the lowering springs are installed. As you can see, if I get this lowered angle, you see the fender gap here and over there. So let's go ahead and take it to the shop, get those lowering springs. All right, so we are just pulling into our shop and I'm gonna hand over the car. Hopefully it should be a quick install. And can't wait to see the final results, to be honest, man. It's gonna be really good. Well guys, the Steeda Sport lowering springs are finally installed on my 2019 Mustang GT, and wow, what a difference has it made. So these are the progressive springs, so it takes a couple days for it to settle down. So it's been a couple days since I've had these installed. So basically with the progressive springs, the drop you get right after the install is not the final drop. So I let them settle for a little bit. I've been driving around for a couple days just to test them out. And this is pretty much how the car is gonna sit, and I have to say it looks amazing. Let me show it to you. All right, you can see I just love the stands. There are still in stock 245s, but the car looks much lower. And I have to say, I was kind of skeptical at first because it's only 1-inch drop, and originally I wanted a more aggressive drop. But honestly, I mean, let me back up a little bit, get you a lowered angle. And just look at that. The fender gap on the front and on the rear is pretty much gone. It's pretty much how I would want it to sit. Of course, I still need the tires and the wheels to really complete the look, but I have to say I am really impressed by how it's turned out. And just looking at it from the back, you can see there it's still tucked in, so it needs to come out a little bit, but overall it's coming. The build is finally coming along. Once I get maybe 285s or 305s, I'm gonna push the tires out a little bit, and that should really finish off the stance. As you may recall, we did some measurement before we lowered the car, so I'm gonna go ahead and attempt the same ones and see what difference has it really made. So let's go try that out. So in the front, if I recall correctly, I was able to kind of put 3.5 fingers, and let's see what it is now. So I'm starting with 2, and 2 is a tight fit. I cannot go with 3. So I wanna say, I don't know, maybe 2, yeah, 2 point, no, it has to be like 2 fingers, and that's pretty dramatic drop compared to it was like 3.5. The rear was closer to 4 because it had more gap, and rear has only lowered about 1 inch. So let's see. With rear, you can do 2 fingers. I could probably, I don't know, 3 definitely no. It's probably like a 2.25 or something like that. And the difference in that is just amazing, man. I have to say, I love how the car is finally settled. I think the Steeda Sport Progressive springs are the perfect drop for your, especially daily driven Mustang GT. It has lowered about 1.1 inch at the front, 1 inch on the back, and I feel like that's just the perfect drop if you're gonna be daily driving your car. Driving it for just a couple days, I can already notice a significant difference over stock. There's less body roll. And surprisingly, if I'm going over bumps and stuff, it's not as harsh as you expect it to be. I want to say it's pretty much like stock, maybe 10% worse, to be honest. And that, in my opinion, is a really good trade-off to get their stance right and not compromise on the daily drivability of the car. Like, lowering the car has completely changed the way it looks. I am so impressed by the Steeda Sport Progressive lowering spring. I can't wait to finish the build off with some wheels and tires. I've been looking into those SB2 wheels, but I'm kind of torn into the tires right now, trying to figure out what tires to really get. Problem is that they don't make 305s in all season, and I drive this thing year round, so I don't want to get summer and winter set up. So the widest I can go if I want to go all season would be 285. So I'm trying to see if I want to go 285, or I should just get 2 sets of tires and get a 305 for the summer and keep these for the winter or extreme weather setup. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Comment below what you think about the lower setup on my Mustang, and as always, subscribe to Red 50 for more build videos.